In the heart of a thriving African city, there lived a man named Chief Okonkwo, known far and wide for his immense wealth and extravagant lifestyle. Born into riches, Chief Okonkwo inherited his father's vast estate at a young age. He owned plantations, numerous businesses, and a mansion so grand it could rival a king's palace. The villagers marveled at his fortune, whispering tales of his opulence as if it were a legend. Chief Okonkwo had one strange desire. He wanted wives, many of them, but he didn't want children. He believed children were a burden, a distraction from the pleasures of life. What he craved was beauty, elegance, and perfection. He sought women who could adorn his mansion like precious ornaments, never aging, always flawless. It wasn't long before rumors spread about Chief Okonkwo's unusual taste in marriage. He began to gather wives from different regions, each more stunning than the last. The first was Nneka, a striking beauty with skin as smooth as silk. Then came Adanna, with hair that shone like the sun. One after another, they arrived. Aisha, Kemi, Binta, and others, until Chief Okonkwo had 10 wives. Each wife was chosen for her beauty, and Chief Okonkwo lavished them with the finest clothes, jewels, and makeup. He built a separate wing in his mansion where they had everything they could ever need except freedom. Despite their beauty, the wives lived a hollow life. They were forbidden from having children as per Chief Okonkwo's orders. He feared that children would age his wives, steal their beauty, and divert their attention from him. Every day, they were to look perfect, dressed in the finest attire, hair styled just right, and their faces painted with elegance. They had no responsibilities except to look pleasing to their husband, and he was satisfied as long as they maintained their flawless appearance. At first, the women seemed content. They enjoyed the luxury, the fine things, and the comfort of their surroundings. But over time, the emptiness of their lives began to weigh on them. They were nothing more than statues, trapped in a golden cage. They longed for something more: love, family, and purpose. But Chief Okonkwo had no interest in any of that. The villagers who once envied the women for their wealth began to pity them. What is beauty without substance? They would ask, shaking their heads. The women had become symbols of wealth without meaning. As the years passed, cracks began to form in Chief Okonkwo's empire. His businesses, once flourishing, started to suffer. He made poor investments, squandered money on extravagant parties, and neglected the management of his plantations. Rumors spread that his wealth was dwindling, and soon enough, the rumors became true. The riches that had once filled his mansion began to vanish. First, the servants left, then the fine clothes, and finally even the precious jewels were sold to pay off his debts. The wives, who had been lured by his wealth and promises of luxury, grew restless. They had never truly loved Chief Okonkwo. They loved his money, the comfort it brought, and the status it gave them. Now that his wealth was fading, their loyalty began to wane. One by one, the wives started to disappear. Nneka, the first wife, was the first to go, leaving without a word in the dead of night. Adanna followed soon after, taking what little jewelry she could carry. By the time Chief Okonkwo realized what was happening, 6 of his wives were gone, each fleeing to seek a new life elsewhere. Panicked, Chief Okonkwo pleaded with the remaining wives to stay. He promised that his fortune would return, that their lives would be grand again. But the women had seen the truth. They were no longer enchanted by his empty promises. They wanted more than a life of vanity and emptiness. One by one, they all left, until Chief Okonkwo was left alone in his once grand mansion, now a hollow shell of its former glory. With nothing left, Chief Okonkwo wandered through the empty halls of his mansion, the echoes of his past life haunting him. He had spent his wealth on fleeting beauty, but in the end, it brought him nothing but loneliness. In his old age, Chief Okonkwo became a cautionary tale in the village, a man who had everything but lost it all because he valued appearance over substance, beauty over love. The villagers would tell his story to their children, teaching them that wealth fades, beauty withers, but true love and family are the only riches that last. And so, Chief Okonkwo lived out his days in solitude, surrounded by the fading memories of his 10 wives, none of whom remained to share his final days. His once glorious mansion became overgrown with weeds, a symbol of the emptiness that comes from living a life without purpose. The palace that had once been full of beauty was now as empty as the life he had chosen for himself.